The first common parameter we have is the parameter for length add. This parameter is a value we put in to make it so that the tie rod is actually sticking out of the fitting a specific distance on both sides. In other words, if we put in length add 6 inches, the tie rod should be sticking out of the fitting 6 inches on either end. We're going to represent this by going over to PractiCAD. Inside PractiCAD, you can see here we have the common parameters, and here's the length add parameter. If we were to put in the value 12 right here and hit enter, you can see that PractiCAD is sticking the tie rod out 12 inches from either side of the fitting. So length add will control that option. If you set it to 0, it's flush against the fitting. If you set it to any other number, whatever that number is, that is how far the tie rod on each end is sticking out of the fitting. The next two parameters, hole diameter and rod diameter, are simply talking about the size of the rod you're going to see on your preview and the size of the hole that we would drill if we were to download it to PractiCAD. Notice here that we've got hole diameter highlighted, and as we're moving up in value, you'll see that it's not going to affect your preview at all. The reason why is this is simply a PractiCAD parameter used for fabrication. So though this is reportable in PractiCAD, it will have no bearing on your drawing at all. However, the rod diameter size will. Whatever size you make the rod diameter is going to be the size of the rod in your preview on your drawing. Therefore, you would like to make sure that you size the rod diameter to whatever it is that you would like to see on your plot. Here we're just going to make it 1 inch. The interference parameter allows us to make sure that we do not have two rods colliding when we put rods on the width and the depth of a fitting. Whatever value we put here will be the spacing between rods if in fact they were placed on the same position on both width and depth. For example, here we're going to put interference as 2 inches. Then we're going to exit out of our drawing and look at a fitting. Currently on our drawing, we have the PCAD tie rod in the center of the fitting on both the width, as you can see here, and the depth, as you can see here by looking at it in top view. You can see that PractiCAD has put a 2-inch gap between the two because this was the value we selected for interference. So interference will allow us to make sure we do not have tie rods colliding into one another when we put them on both the width and the depth. Cut holes is a parameter that really only affects PractiCAD. If you choose cut holes yes, it's going to download the PractiCAD rods into PractiCAD, and PractiCAD will cut the holes there. If you'd like to report whether or not the holes are being cut, you can choose the proper choice here, yes or no. However, this will have no effect on your drawing space, preview, or anything else other than your reports inside PractiCAD. We simply wanted to make sure that we matched up all the PractiCAD properties with all the PractiCAD properties. The last common parameter we have is the weight parameter. PractiCAD is capable of calculating the weight of the entire duct line, and if you would like your tie rod accessories to be accounted for in that weight, you must put in a weight in pounds in this particular field. So if you knew that each tie rod was going to weigh 1/4 of a pound, we would simply put in 0.25. When we go to do a weight report later, PractiCAD can add these tie rods to the total weight.